Hello, I'm Ricardo. I'm from My Bucket Garden, and today we're going to do phase 2A on building a bucket run. We're doing a double run. We're doing it in the parking lot, primarily so that we can show you different angles and have room to really get some good shots for you. So we're going to look through what tools we need and what materials we're going to use, and we'll get started. I did a faux setup so that the pastor can see exactly where things are going to be placed and the distances, so we can decide which place is the best for the plants and for the church. Pastor Scott came by and the decision was made to put the bucket garden on this end. With the way the sun travels and not using up a parking spot, this is a good place to be. This is one of the old runs. It's an 8-foot run. I'm going to scrap it out and use the 2x4s, the 2x2s, and the rain gutter on the new project. Here are some of the materials we'll be using: duct tape, staples. This window screen is already pre-cut to 8 inches wide, 4 feet long. Then we have my clipboard so I know what I'm doing, my pen so I can write it off, my gloves. Then we have the ends for the rain gutters. Up here we have a battery charger for the batteries for my cordless drill and my circular saw, the tape measure stapler for stapling the window screen onto the 2x4s, drill bits, dust mask, 2 different size screws, safety goggles, jigsaw with blades, circular saw, and my drill. For other materials, we have the 4 2x4s, 12 cement blocks, 2 rain gutters with 2 2x2s behind it, and then the old 2x4s and things that we'll be using to make spacers and things with. That's it. So let's get started. I now need to cut some spacers so I can lift my bucket runs up high enough to get the rain gutters to drain into the buckets. So I'm cutting these at 10 inches. I'll need to cut 6 of them for the front and 6 for the back. I may be doing a double on the back. When putting the spacers in, you cannot go all the way across like that. The rain gutter doesn't sit down, so you have to turn the spacer that way. Okay, we got our spacers set so they're lengthwise. They're a little larger than the cement block, and I have them in the right position so that the bucket will fit over here on the left side. So I'm going to use the pre-drill, 2 holes each one, then 2 screws deep. This is the last screw. I made the center spacers smaller because I can move these around a little more. I want to make sure I had proper spacing down there. Some people don't screw them down, and that's okay. I like to screw them down because if I got to move stuff, then I just pick it up, everything's attached, and off I go. So I'm going to put this last screw in. Now, the reason why I countersink is I want to make sure that the head's below the wood surface so that the buckets don't catch it. We're going to want to put our end caps on. You can see we got a rubber seal here, which makes this waterproof. We just snap it on. It's in tight. A little tough to get in, but it's definitely worth it. Now, this end of the bucket garden is just a hair higher than that end. So this end, we're going to have these flush with our 2x4s. So, and on that end, we're going to have it at the bottom of the 2x4, so it has a downward slope towards our drain buckets. We're going to make sure that our ends are even here. And I'm going to put a screw in here just to make sure that it stays. And I'm below the 2x4 by just a gauge. All right, this end and side is secure. I'll put a screw in here, and I'll go down, do the other, and then I'll put a couple in the center. I had to move the legs because they weren't positioned correctly so that this would drop down low enough. I started the screw, I want to make sure it's in as low as it can possibly be. And it is attached. Now, you can see that it's not real secure, so I'll add 2 more screws here, then I will attach this side to it. Once the bucket's drained into the rain gutter, it will run down this way because of the tip or tilt of the parking lot, and we have one end, the rain gutter attached to 2x4s higher than this end, so we'll run this way. But with this on, it won't drip out. So we need to drill a hole so it can run out. Now we can put our drain bucket under here, and it'll catch all the worm water coming out of our plant bucket. When we put the caps on the ends, the rain gutter became a little longer than the 2x4s. You could cut the rain gutter to the proper size, or you could use spacers. This is what I'm putting on the ends. You can see there's a pretty good gap there. You could just run a screw through and attach it, just as long as it's on. But I'm going to put this small spacer in there, even though it's not quite enough. But we'll screw these on, and then we'll do the other end with just the end piece. On this one, I'm just going to run the 2 screws in. I use this to make sure that it's level. And now we have our ends on. It feels pretty secure, and it's not going to be a lot of weight. The bucket will just catch the end of it here. So I'm going to go and do the other end, and we will be ready to rock and roll. On this end, we're even, so all we got to do is screw the wood into it at a level size. Got to get my stick here. Make sure it stays level. Reset these screws. Okay. Got to see the screws. The run done with the rain gutter, and next thing we got to do is put on our leaf screen. Stapler drives the staple right in. So I'm going to, that didn't work, staple down about every 6-8 inches to the end, add another piece. We want to make sure we have an overlap of a couple inches so leaves don't get in underneath there. We have some extra, so we're just going to cut it off and we'll use it on another project. Okay, we've did some readjustments. I had to put another spacer in here so I could get this leg flat. In the process, I noticed, because the parking lot is not level, that those two on the far side, which I didn't put any adjustments on, are way off. I will put a spacer under there. If it's off that much, the weight of the bucket will hold it down. So we need to make a couple of spacers, and then the run is done. The legs match or stay flush, and I can go home. When I put my sunblock on, which is fencing, I will be attaching it along the 2x4 here. So I have to make sure that when it is on, that the leg does not stick out so far that it will block it. And all three legs are in proper place, so I am good to go. Okay, we've got them at the proper height. The front one is going to be lower so that the plant in the front gets full sunlight, and then the plant in the back, which is a little taller, and also the plant's going to be a taller plant, will get full sunlight. So all I did was add spacing underneath here so that we could jack up the back and keep the front one at proper level. Finally finished a bucket run, first one of two. We have a drain bucket and we have another one under the back bucket run. This is the front one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buckets for plants. And we have a black bucket which will go under the back bucket run for easy access. So when you're out walking and pick up leaves and grass clippings, they would go in here to dry. Sometimes I put the bucket out in the sun so it would get really hot. That way the materials dry faster. I use a lot of organic material in my buckets. Well, I made a decision. My laziness or tiredness or brains, however you want to put it, overcame me, and I'm going with a 2-bucket system instead of doing all that cutting. This is the second one. I'm trying a little different procedure with it. I've cut some spacer blocks. I'm going to put them here and then this on top of it. There'll be a little gap here, but it's secure with 2 screws there, and I'll secure these this way. I secured these with a single center set screw. So when I put this on, I know, oh wow, it's really off. Why is that so far off? It's done. We got 2 bucket runs put together. Got the legs down, got the leaf screen on, ends on, rain gutter in. There's room for 10 buckets on each row. Down on one end of one of the runs is going to be a yellow bucket for composting, but the rest of them are orange buckets for plants. We're going to have 2 drain buckets instead of 1. And then on that end, we'll have a black bucket for drying leaves. This is phase 2A, building the bucket run, building the base of it. The next phase is phase 2B. We'll be putting up a sunblock on this bucket garden. Mine, I didn't need to do that at my house because I have a balcony wall. We have no wall here, so we need sun protection. And we did change the angle of the bucket garden to match more of the pathway of the sun, so less sun will be getting on the backs of the buckets. So I'll have the garden wall come out a little bit past it to give a little bit of shade, and we should be good all summer. I'm tired, I feel good, and I am going to go home and have a nice cold mint water. See you next video. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're up level here. We're going to screw it in, and at the other end we're going to be lower so it has a downward flow. This parking lot has a downward flow to it. All right, I secured these with a single screw. Yeah, it worked yesterday. Okay, cut. We want a little bit of an overlap here, a couple inches, just to make sure things don't get up under. Oh, yeah, gotta keep it stable. We want to. I forgot to plug the mic in, so I have to start over. This is phase 2A, building the bucket run, building the base of it. Tomorrow, phase 2 will be, the next phase is phase 2B. We'll be putting up a